Hi,
Hi, happy Monday.
happy Monday. It's
One of
been
those
a
days.
Monday.
hmm hmm
How are you today?
I'm good. We survived Helene. Thank you, Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Some of our friends in areas they are having a hard time.
Big time. Big time.
hmm hmm
Scary.
And I think just after the stress of uh, the past 5 episodes, it's time for a fun one.
I could not agree more.
It is. It's time for a fun one.
So maybe Gavin will join us on this one too, because his energy is always solid.
I was literally just eating a Chattacake Bakery chess bar. If you have not,
Bentley has stolen all of them. He
they're
ate
the
all
best
of them.
thing
They are so good.
ever.
They are
And
so good.
Gavin's picture is on my fridge right now. And so anytime I
Mm-hmm.
go to the fridge, I'm like, hey,
Hey,
Gavin,
what's up, dude? Yeah, same.
like thinking about him. So,
It's cool because he's on mine too, and I forget to tell him. They're like, "Who's that boy on our fridge?" I'm like, "That's Gavin," and then I get to tell them about him. It's fun,
and I
but
pass his old house every day
mm-hmm,
on South Terrace in Eastridge.
yep,
I just think about him. I just think about him a lot.
I do too.
I do
I
too.
really do too.
hmm
But he's here,
He's here. He's with us. He'll always be.
100%. Okay, so with a fun episode
hmm
and Gavin's energy, we're gonna ask each other questions because today is International Podcast Day.
Happy International Podcast Day.
Back at you. All right, I'll start.
Okay.
Um, oh, before we start, we
Mhm.
should let people know that tonight we I don't think we've really told anybody or said anything, but we were nominated for a People's Choice True Crime Podcast Award.
You were. That's
I
so
have the
cool.
video of Natalie's reaction.
You have to send that to me. I don't think I've seen it.
It's so good. Well, I think it might just be audio. I think. No, I think I videoed it. I don't know, but one part or the other is recorded.
hmm
Um, and tonight is the awards show,
hmm
and we will figure out if we won or not. But even if, I mean, I hope we win, but even if we don't, I feel like it's so cool and kind of makes all of these shenanigans with Expired Podcast 100% worth it. Um, I don't know. It just makes me feel like we are making a difference and we are bringing awareness to things, and people do enjoy listening. So
Yeah.
that's exciting. That happens tonight at 8 o'clock
Yeah.
Eastern time. So we will find out tonight. But, anyways, we can start. I'll start with questions. Okay.
Okay.
So, why did you want to get into podcasting besides the obvious? So, I'm sure 90, if you hear my husband yelling at my kids, it's, because of life. Um,
I
I told
can't
him to
hear
make sure the kids were quiet, and he's the one that's loud.
it. Yelling at him.
But you know how my ears work. I hear everything.
Yeah, you do.
Um, so beside, I'm sure most of our listeners or audience know that you're in radio every day, all day. That's your career. Um, so I feel like podcasting is an obvious side thing that would be enjoyable for anyone that's in radio. But so besides the obvious, why did you choose to keep your career and branch out into podcasting? Like, what was it that kind of started it for you?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is I just found myself so obsessed with true crime
Mm-hmm.
and just the mystery and the psychology of everything
Yeah,
is so fascinating to me.
agreed.
Like, I don't I don't know. I think it's anyone who's a fan of true crime, we kind of just get each other on a different
We
level.
get the
And
weird obsession.
we get it. Like,
Hmm.
it's just a thing. I think, everyone is obsessed with something, whether it's video games or sports or whatever your
Yep,
hobby is. But I feel like true crime lovers, they're like a different breed. And
I agree.
I feel like it's like a group, like your friend group that you
Yes.
can
Yes.
be weird with.
Yeah.
It's
Super weird. Also, if anyone's wondering, we're doing Zoom today because we're both ill.
Monday.
Well, I've been sick. Like today's the first day I kind of feel human,
Mhm.
and I still have like super low energy, but my cough isn't as bad. And my voice is kind of back, which is good. But that's why we're also on Zoom because typically Nat and I love to be in the office because
Mhm.
that's when we get to hang out with each other and just
Yeah.
shoot the shit for no reason and do our podcast. But
Yep.
um
There was a couple of people at work that were sick, so I'm
yeah,
wondering if I'm like starting, or if it's
Taylor
fall allergies.
Taylor started feeling rough today, but I thought it was allergies, but it it was most definitely like a head cold, but a little bit more severe than a head cold. Um, just super low energy, like just cruddy,
Yeah.
just crud. And today Taylor is starting, but he really has allergies like all the time. So,
Mm.
okay, I'm gonna ask you one more because it's kind of a less deep question than my other ones, and then you can ask me your first question.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, also anyone that listens knows that Natalie is not a person who is going to talk about herself or give herself credit when it's due or nothing. She never wants to make anything about her ever, especially in like the podcast or her professional world. Even as one of her very best friends, I feel like I have to purposely make things about you to get you to like stop and pause and appreciate things about yourself for a minute. Like you're just not a selfish at all person.
Oh, that's so
So,
nice.
but it's true. So, but I want to know what makes you a good podcaster?
Hmm.
Making you very uncomfortable, aren't I?
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, what makes me a good podcaster? I think I care.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yes.
care very deeply. And
Yes.
I feel like we've talked about it before about like being an empath and like just feeling things
Yep.
and intuition and all, just I don't know. I just feel like I feel very deeply about things and I think
Mm-hmm.
about things constantly. Like
Yep.
I was telling you earlier, I was trying to take a nap and it wasn't really working. And it was because my brain is just, I couldn't shut my brain off. Like I'm
Yes.
just constantly thinking about scenarios or it just,
Or what could this mean? Like trying
or
to,
what could happen
yeah,
or
trying to put the puzzle pieces together or trying to figure out what the puzzle pieces are.
constantly.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well,
I think I care.
I also think one of the things that I wrote down was that you care, but also I wrote down that you're a good listener. And I think in order to be good at providing content or information or to tell someone else's story, you've got to be a good listener, and you're a good listener. And
Well,
you,
thank you.
and you don't so I feel like one of my flaws is sometimes I want to try and solve a problem right then. So if I'm listening to somebody, I'm constantly going to be like taking it in and trying to provide not necessarily a solution or advice, but I'm trying to like do it right then. Whereas you have the ability to just actually listen and take it all in as it is. You know what I mean? Like you never try and change or alter or figure out the information or the story that's being given to you. You just let it be in its authentic way. And I feel like that's what makes a great podcaster.
Hmm.
Have you ever noticed that about yourself, though? Like you're such a good, just take it in and listen to what it actually is.
Actually, I feel like I've learned this from you. One time, you, me, and Billy were at the office, and I feel like sometimes I would like try to come up with a solution for something, and you gave me the advice of, I think it's three, two, one,
Yeah.
where you like, what is it exactly? It's like you come up, it's like,
It's kind of universal. Anyone can take it as they want and do with it what they want. But I think in from your perspective, you were taking it, and I was telling you like take 3 days, hours, minutes, and then go to 2 for how you feel about what you got. And then take 1 to put those together, then move on. Like, then try and do something, then do this. Like,
yeah.
it's a steps. Take it in steps. Don't
Hmm.
try and put it all together and solve it or do it right then.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm glad you heard that from me because I'm still working on that.
Well, that impacted me, and I feel like over the past
Good.
6 months or so, I've like really tried to hone in on that. Like, it doesn't need to be fixed right away.
Yes.
All the problems don't need to go away right this very second. We can figure it out. It's not the end of the world to
I'm
take a
gonna
beat.
actually look up the actual like decision making or handling. All right. So you're first supposed to do you're supposed to define it. So what it means to you, what you think it means, what it really means. That's the 3. The 2 is develop. So develop a solution, develop something that helps you find the solution. And the 1 is determine. Determine how you're going to handle it or how you're going to move forward.
Mhm.
But I use 3, 2, 1 for like a multitude of things. I feel like it's a very healthy way of figuring things out, dealing with things, understanding things, handling things. It's really like, again, universal for it could be used for so many things in so many different ways. It's the 3, 2, 1 method. Even in cooking is a 3, 2, 1 method. So,
Yeah.
um, that's cool. I love that I taught you that. And I hope it wasn't too long ago because I am still actually working
it,
on
it wasn't.
it.
It wasn't. Okay, my question. What is the most surprising thing about doing a true crime podcast? Like, what is the
Oh,
thing you did not expect? I mean, we're coming up on 2 years. October
yeah.
31st will be 2 years of
Um,
expired.
I think that kind of 2 things. I would say 1 is I didn't anticipate or I'll be honest, I don't know that I even acknowledged that it might be difficult. Um, but honestly, for the most part, the lack of assistance from loved ones. It's like they're scared to talk about things publicly. And that goes for like even cases that we've covered in the past that are, open and shut. And we reach out like, hey, do you want to come on and just talk about your loved one or things like that? Like, which I know now most definitely comes from how difficult that is, and that we are in some way reopening wounds and bringing things up that they have worked really hard to come to terms with and be at peace with. Um, but I think the second part of my answer has everything to do with that. And I think now the surprising, or like something I didn't expect, was how how much time it takes for me to be able to be methodical and ethical and stand by my morals of trying to help, but also trying to approach things now knowing and now understanding and really putting it at the forefront of what we might be doing, even if we're helping, how much harder it is for everyone else. So it's just like, when if we were just trying to tell a story and not try to get information, or not trying to hear from loved ones and their experience and what they think and what they know, like, it's crazy how much now my empathetic side comes through. And sometimes I want to be a little bit more, I want to push a little harder, but I can't. It's because it's just not who I am. Yeah, I think it's just the whole puzzle of telling a story is actually way more difficult, because I think you and I both keep our ethics and our morals and how we want to do this intact. But it's difficult when you also, each of us have that side of like, get the information, because the information is what helps us do our job. But no one has hired us. You know, like, we hired us to do a job. So it's that line is difficult of, here, let's go ask these people, or let's go talk to these people and bring up things that is, it's very hard for them, very difficult for them. But we can't push too hard, but we need information.
Mm.
Let them tell us what they want to tell us, but we know we should ask this question, and why aren't they going there? We want to know this. You know, it's like, that's surprising to me. Is just it's a balancing act. It's a true balancing act. Um, but I do also think we do a good job of each of us playing both roles at the same time. So if I'm on a mission to get information or to figure something out, you can handle with grace the patience, and the be the empath and be the go-to. Whereas if you're like, we got to get these answers, I can be like, okay, I'm going to talk to them, and I can be the go-between type of thing. I feel like we do play that well, because I think we have both of the things in us, and we just play off of each other and read
I,
each other really well. But yeah, that whole, especially this year with the cases that we've covered and stuff, it being so current and so real and so new. You know, it's not a case from the 70s or the 80s or even the 90s. It's so new and real that it's just been really, really difficult to turn the empath off to do a job of trying to find justice, and turning it on because we are dealing with human beings that are going through really, really difficult things.
yeah,
So that that to me, especially this year, has been very eye-opening, and not something I expected to be so difficult.
that's a good one. That's a good answer.
That's funny that you asked that, though, because that was my next question, but it's two parts. Like, what's been the biggest challenge for you in podcasting, but also what's been like the biggest high, like the most rewarding part of it?
The biggest challenge I think would just be like it's just like any business or startup. You have to change and you have to be able to pivot and you
Yeah.
have to be able to not be so offended if one idea doesn't work out. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
all good. It's the way creativity works, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And then, oh, I think connecting with people, and I really enjoy interviewing people.
Yes.
And while you were speaking before, I was like, we've interviewed Angie Solomon
Yep.
with Gracie and Grant. We've interviewed Johnny Bethany Markowski's mom.
Mm-hmm.
We've
Angel
interviewed
Bumpus,
Angel Bumpus, one of our biggest cases.
our
AJ,
first case.
yeah, AJ Childress, the Marion County Six, the
Yes.
family member of her. And then the most recent ones, like I really enjoy connecting with people.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, even over the oddest thing
Yeah.
of their loved one missing or their loved one that passed away in a
Yeah.
weird way or an interesting way, I should say,
In an unknown way.
in an unknown way.
Yeah.
That's been very surprising to me how much I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely feel like that makes you tick, like in
Oh,
a good way.
yeah.
Makes
Gives
it
me
feel
energy.
worth it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right. What's your next one?
It's kind of a silly one.
I love silly ones. Do you want me to go with my no, I think go with yours first. Yeah, go.
Okay, who was your first celebrity crush? And it can be a celebrity, it could
Oh,
be a like cartoon, it could be anything.
man. If it's going like really first, then I think it would probably be a cartoon. But um yeah, I think it would be a cartoon. And it was Hey Arnold. It was
Arnold?
Arnold. Yeah. But I really liked his friend too.
Uh,
Um
Gerald?
yeah. Yeah.
With the afro?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, I just liked them and I thought they were good dudes. But they weren't like cocky or like the bad boy cool. Like they were just, I don't know. I was just like, I'd be friends with them, you know? But yeah, I'd say equally both of them. But if I had to go with a real person,
Uh-huh.
mm, and you mean still like first, like when I'm young.
Yeah. Or
Oh,
like when you get to that age where you're like, "Oh, huh."
man.
When you like start hitting puberty,
Yeah.
just before that
I
maybe.
I guess I would say, and not that there's anything wrong with it now. He's just totally not my type now.
Hmm.
Or like yeah, he's a good looking fella, but like not no, it's not for me.
You've changed, yeah.
Um, it would probably be Channing Tatum.
Mm.
Yeah.
I would do it now. I would say that would be my celebrity crush now.
No, mine
Mm.
now, 10 out of 10 Tom Hardy, without a doubt.
Okay.
And also, I don't know what it is, man. Bruno Mars does something to me. And I'm not big on like shorter than average dudes, but
Yeah.
whew, Bruno Mars could get it. I love him. But yeah, Tom Hardy, 10 out of 10. What
Okay.
about what's yours from when you
Okay.
were?
From when I was little, probably Johnny Bravo.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good
Stud.
one.
Stud. And then so lame, but like when I started really liking boys, it was freaking Frankie Muniz.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was an agent Cody Banks fan.
Yes, yes, yes. Those are good ones. Oh
Huh?
my God.
And then I
Who's yours
really like,
now?
huh?
Oh, what were you gonna say?
Oh, and then I started liking Chad Michael Murray.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. And then now, oh, I saw a video of him the other day and I was like, man, if you were only straight, Sam Smith.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that like a big boy?
Mm-hmm. No,
Bearded.
I like the way he carries himself though.
Yeah. Super confident.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing what he's doing. He's very talented.
Mm-hmm.
Very talented. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Smith's legit.
Mm.
Is it
So
weird?
beautiful.
It's not weird. I have more um girl crushes than I do
Oh, yeah.
boy crushes.
Sabrina Carpenter.
Yo.
She's so pretty. Mm.
All I could sit here for days. I could sit here
Jenna
for
Ortega.
facts.
That
Facts.
music video.
She's probably
Taste.
number one, tied with what's her name if you hadn't asked me.
I don't know.
Only because she hasn't really done anything recently that I feel like people would. Zoe Saldana. Ooh. Yo, trouble.
Oh my God.
Taylor knows that.
This just out. Macy Cookout is
Is bisexual. Let the world melt.
Oh my gosh. Actually, so I would do the red zone on
Fridays.
Friday nights. We talked about you Friday.
Oh Lord. What'd
They
y'all
were
say?
just they just made the connection that they work with me and
You
all
work
of
with
their
me.
girlfriends and wives have watched
Oh
you
yeah.
on TV and they're just now making the connection and it was
That's
like
hilarious.
I was like I didn't get it at first, but it was super nice to like oh my gosh, they know something about me and like
Yeah.
they're talking about it and they think
That's
it's
so
cool.
cool.
It was awesome.
That's great. Okay. My last question is what are your dreams? It's actually a two-part question too. I should go with the other one, the second part first. I'll just say it as one. What are your dreams and goals for the Expired podcast? And for anyone that doesn't know, we've actually had this conversation with a couple families that we're working with this year in their cases and trying to help them. Um, and I feel like a lot of people, I feel like when we shared this with them, because with each of them, all of them, they were shocked. So I feel like people will be shocked to learn this about Expired Podcast too, is that we're almost 2 years old. We have not been paid or made money from this podcast the entire time. And I think at first it was definitely, and still is, a goal to eventually get there where we can monetize from it. But I do think that at the end of the day, that's not why we started it or what is at the forefront for what we want is like more about the families and the cases and the victims and justice and stuff like that. So not here to say that we're never going to make money or don't want to. We do, of course, because we put a lot of work into this. But given the fact that for 2 years and how much work and effort goes into this, especially from your side, because you do all of the editing and all of the publishing, what is it about expired that like keeps driving you? Because in order, I do a lot of things and I have for years and years. I have to really love something or really believe in something to do it and know that there's not a financial gain at the end of it. And sometimes it's like, you know what? Okay, I can't make this a business, but I could still keep it a hobby or whatever. And I know neither of us really, this isn't hobby level love, it's career level love that we have for Expired. But like, what is it that keeps driving you to do it? And what are your dreams and goals for the Expired podcast?
I would love to have some kind of like foundation, an Expired podcast name that could help people, a nonprofit. I would love a law. If we got a
Mhm.
law, man, just something, just even if it wasn't like our law or our, whatever,
Just something that we
helping
help
someone
get.
else
Yeah.
get there.
Yeah.
Just, oh, I just feel like that would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Helping other people, connecting people with different resources.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's so many resources out there, but you just have to look for them.
Yes.
And sometimes even doing that is difficult, especially if you're going through a hard time
Right.
or
You're not
dealing with
really
something.
looking for that. And it's almost one of those when you're not going through it or you're not thinking about it, it's all there all the time.
Hmm.
And when you need it and when it is dire and when it is catastrophic, things are nowhere to be found type of
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm.
So, yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Just make change happen. Open
Yep.
people's eyes and ears. That's all I care about. That's all I really want out of it.
Yeah. Okay. Um, do you have any other questions off the top of your head? Because your silly question makes me want to ask a silly question. I think I've asked you before. I know pretty early on, like, but in early on by that I mean teenage years, you knew you wanted to do like media, digital media, radio, TV, things like that. But when you were little, what did you want to be when you grew up?
When I was in elementary school, I wanted to be an artist.
Hmm. What kind of artist?
I
Any?
wanted to like paint, sculpt,
Yeah.
do all the things.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to be a veterinarian. But then I took my dog to the vet with my mom and I realized you have to give puppies shots and I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it.
Makes so much sense.
I couldn't do it. And then um
It really sucks when you take your babies to the pediatrician and they have to get their first shots because you have to sit and hold them.
hold them. You have to restrain them. I can't. I hope my husband can do it because I cannot.
Yeah. It's torture.
I bet. I bet it's gnarly.
Ugh.
And then I don't know. I really got into writing and stuff when I was
Mhm.
in like middle, high school. I was good at it, or at least in school I was. And I
No, you're
guess
so good at writing. Yeah.
in high school is when we had this class where you could like go shadow someone for a day, and most people would like go with their parents to work or whatever, just to
Yeah.
have a day off of school. And
Hmm.
I had two of them. And so one time I did a news station and then I did a local radio station. And I just loved radio so much because you could have such a personality. You didn't have to be this like
Yep.
mouthpiece or whatever,
Yep.
which I don't think news people are. I really appreciate what they do. But it's just a different
And you get
feel.
to have your personality without knowing that what you look like has
Matter.
anything to do with it. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's literally just everything shining through your voice,
Yeah.
which I think is so important because that's the point of a voice is that it's not, of course, how you look And especially in today's in all of the days that we've been humans on earth, voices matter, and how we look should make a difference and should be paid attention to with our voice. I feel like in radio, you can do all of those things without the prejudice of other people. So they just get to hear you and what you stand for and what you believe and your personality and all the great things and all the sad things and all the things without getting that preconceived notion where they have to feel or think differently based on so many factors. But just radio and podcasting too, especially podcasts that are just voicing, they're not doing video. Like it's so
Yeah.
important. And I feel like it definitely helps for some people that were raised certain ways or brought up in different environments where certain conversations weren't had or weren't allowed to be had, or opinions, things like that. I feel like it's so important for people to be able to hear all kinds of voices and just go based off human nature. Like just like, oh, I really like this voice. I like what they're saying, but I like how it makes me feel. And I totally understand that. Or I didn't know that. Like they get to learn from things without anything in their life before altering it or making it into something that's not what it can be, when you see appearances. Not that that's not important, but I feel like it's such a special, rare, especially in today's world with social media and Google, just anything and everything. It's so rare
Mm.
today that a voice can just have so much impact without having to dive in the ditches and go through the tunnels and do all the things that an appearance can add to it.
Yeah. It's
It
kind
can
of
be.
fun to like if I when I meet people and they're like, "Oh, it's so great to put a face with a name," or
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
they realize who I am. I always think it's fun to be like, "So do you think I look like how I sounded?" Or like, "Do you think is what am I what
Just
I
what you were
pictured?"
expecting.
But
Yeah.
sometimes it's disappointing. Like I when I was, growing up and listening to the radio stations, I always had a picture in my mind of what they look like. And then when
Yeah.
they turned out and they're not like that, it's like, oh.
Hey,
But
that's,
then you have a new, you adapt to it,
of course. Yeah.
but it's funny.
That's one of the things. It's not the same thing, but have you ever heard people say, like, that's why you never want to meet your heroes?
Yeah, I have heard that on Kid Craddock.
Sometimes
Yeah,
I feel like,
you have too much of a great expectation, or you
yeah,
think
sometimes your
you hyped
heroes
it up
need to
too
be different.
much.
Your heroes need to be different than what they are. Like, I feel like that's one of the just like divine, like, what you're thinking and what you're looking up to and what you're trusting in needs to change, and here I'll show you type of thing. But then also I think there's a beautiful part of that that's like everyone has bad days. Like at what point are we going to extend grace to everyone that we need ourselves, you know? Um, and I'm by no means like freaking LeBron James or Peyton Manning or whatever. And not that I've honestly ever really heard anything bad about either of those men or even women in media. Like, but I still, people ask me all the time, like, we'll be at the ball field and people will come over and be like, we've watched the show forever. Can we get a photo? Blah, blah, blah. And people are like, I don't know how you're so patient. Like, is that not annoying? And I'm like, is it an inconvenience? Yes, mainly because I think it's still awkward, no matter it's been 16 years and it's still awkward as hell.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
like, I'm really not that cool. Why,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I feel like I share my story for a reason. And if people are accepting of that story and I've been able to make a difference for them, or at least just be someone they can relate to, I feel like it's super important that even if it might be not the best time, or even if I might not be in the best mood that day, I try my hardest to be me all the time. Um, and it's interesting to find people that I think because they think they know they're like friends, they're like, because
They
they've
know
watched
you.
me for so long.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people forget that I'm like, I don't know you. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know you. So that's why I also always try and ask, like, what's your name? Where are you from? Because I need to know something about you before,
Uh-huh.
before we're gonna do this whole get up. Like, who are you? But I try my best, and I think most people do. Well, I would say majority do. I just feel like sometimes if we could just give the grace that we ask for in other ways during the day. Like if you show up to work in a bad mood, it's like, hey, I'm just having a day, leave me alone. We should offer that to other people as well. So, fun times. Do you have any more funny questions?
No, but I was just thinking, like, I feel like maybe that's why we work is because I get that part of it. Like,
Hmm.
people thinking they know who you are because they've heard you or heard your opinion or seen you or whatever, but
Yep.
in a much smaller way, in a much
Right.
more local way.
Right.
Um, you're more nationally, which has to be hard because I remember when we were in Florida, you came back from the bathroom and you were like, I just got stopped for like 3 pictures because a bunch of people in the bathroom recognized you. Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
It's always in the bathroom,
It's
man.
always in the
I
bathroom.
swear people are, oh, she's going to the bathroom. Let's go to the bathroom. Which is actually, I'll be honest, is way more comfortable than out in a place
Out. Hmm.
because it draws attention. And so
Hmm.
then I feel like people are like, oh, shoot, that's who that is. Let's go
Yeah,
get a picture too. And then it's like a line forms
a thing.
when I'm just trying to eat dinner, like
Hmm.
with my family and friends, like let
Hmm.
me sit down and eat. But at the same time, I'm like, how do we take this photo in a bathroom without touching anybody, anything? Like,
Yeah,
kind of gross. Like,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think also luckily I have had hateful people, but truth be told, just like the comment section, I could really give two shits.
Yeah.
I don't care. I really don't care. But everyone's always been super supportive and nice. There have been a few times though, I think especially in situations like, okay, perfect example. Last weekend, I was at a music festival with my sister-in-law, who's one of my very best friends. Like, even if her and my brother weren't together, I'd be like, all right, she's my sister now, and I don't have a brother type of thing. She's one of my best friends, and a few other of our close friends, all moms. And it was like, for years, oh, I don't think any of us have done a girls' thing, or we don't even do like girls' nights stuff. Like, this was a big deal for all of us. And this girl, so when alcohol is involved, like when you're somewhere where people might be partaking, a little more than
They would normally.
probably they'd be proud to admit type of thing.
Mm. Mhm.
But this girl comes up and like grabs me by the face like I'm a child. And I was like, that's what we're not going to do because I will go to jail. Like my mugshot will be all over the place tomorrow and I'm not going to be mad about it.
What'd
Don't
you do? How'd you react?
I literally just pulled her hand off and held it there. I said, "Don't do that. Don't touch me." Like I wouldn't do that to you.
Yeah.
And you're one of my best friends.
Yeah, you don't.
Like, what are you thinking? Like,
Uh,
I was so mind blown, but I was so mad. I
yeah.
was so mad.
You don't touch someone
I
like
was literally, I was literally about to go to jail. And I, again, would not have been mad. Like, self-defense, don't put your hands on me, especially not on my face. Don't,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially not on my face, because we're fighting. And it's either going to be me or you, and it ain't going to be me.
Is it
Like,
because she recognized you and wa
yes.
wanted your attention?
She was drunk. She had drank too much. And she was like, she was so excited. And honestly, she might not have been all the way drunk. She had been partaking in, I don't know what, anything from here to there.
Yeah.
I don't know, but she was definitely intoxicated. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, I haven't been in a physical fight in like a decade. And you're about to catch the wrath of all the times I wanted to be in one,
Yeah.
like all the time. What were you like? Why would you do that?
People are weird.
Oh, so future reference people, don't touch people. Oh my goodness. Don't do it. It's not a good time.
Yeah.
It's not a good time. Oh,
All right.
still
How many
mad.
hours until the podcast awards? And of course,
One,
I'm sure they're going to go alphabetically and it's going to be true crime at the very end of it all.
they might. I'll go look at what they've done in years past. I think I don't know. What we're not, they might do what we're nominated for kind of early. I don't know. I'll go look and see, but if so, I'm gonna send you a video that you'll wake up to because you're gonna be asleep.
I know.
Or
I'm
I
going
can
to
just
try,
call
May.
you when I think it's coming up and see if you
Yeah.
wake up. If you don't
But
answer,
I
then I'm not gonna
don't.
bug you, but
Like you called me the other night and I was out like a light. I don't hear anything. I have a noise machine that
that's
I
good.
love, and it's a
Yeah.
light activated one. So like
Mm.
at night it does red light therapy, and then in the
Mm.
morning when it's supposed to wake you up, it like turns the light on gradually, and
Yeah, slow and steady. That's
it's
perfect.
the best thing
Those are
ever.
so good.
But then I don't hear anything else because
Well,
got
that's
my
okay. Here's the thing. You'll wake up tomorrow and learn about
at
it, and
3 a.m. and I'm gonna
it's not going to change anything, right?
know, but I'll be excited or
And
bummed.
good news too is you can always go back and watch it tomorrow too
Yes.
when you get
And
up.
I'll post a link to it in the description box of this video,
Yeah.
or if you're listening this podcast.
Yeah, because even if we don't win, all these podcasts deserve some listeners and some support. We hope we win, of
Yeah,
course, but either way, I think
nice to be nominated.
all the people, all the podcasts nominated are fantastic.
Shout out to our good friend Miss Kale Lowry and
Yeah,
V, who are
reigning.
nominated multiple times and are already won already in
Yeah.
previous years. That's so cool.
And other awards too. Their
Mm-hmm.
Baby Mama's No Drama podcast is super good. They
Mm-hmm.
crack me up.
I love her podcast with Lindsay too.
I do too.
Coffee combos.
Coffee combos, yes, super good.
So good. Shout out to her. All right.
All right, well, good luck tonight.
I feel like
And
giddy.
as always, if you guys have cases you want us to look into or cover or try and help you figure some things out, please reach out to us, send them to us. And that's whether or not you want to be involved or not.
Mm.
And if you're going to be an asshole, be a funny one.
And keep your pistol in your pants and don't do meth.
And please take care of each other.
This is the Expired Podcast.
Bye.
Beaut.